Coming up on this week's episode of Hip Hop Now podcast, Mass Appeal continues to drop clues about the next rollout. My review of the new Roc Marciano album 656, and the internet debates Jadakiss versus Kanye. I don't know why the internet does what they do, but we're going to talk about it. Let's do it. Welcome to Hip Hop Now podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. First and foremost, big shout out to those listening on audio form. Some of you, maybe you've been listening for 10 years straight. I appreciate you. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please review the podcast there. I'm not sensitive if you feel like the podcast is dope, but I'm going to need him to look in the other direction. Whatever it is, I don't know. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps with the exposure of the podcast to people who would also like this kind of content, right? Big shout out to those also right here on YouTube. Subscribing to the channel, whether you came here because you like the shorts or you came here because you like the special content I do on this channel, which we have some of that going on. Or you like this very podcast here, the OG podcast, the News and Perspectives podcast, Hip Hop Now. I appreciate you all. And also, obviously, the biggest shout out to those who have supported the podcast monetarily, whatever, with money, okay? Over the course of those 10 years, whether it's through Patreon or right here on YouTube by becoming a member. Obviously, if you don't know, all proceeds go right back into the production of this podcast, right? That's the best way for me to improve the podcast. Obviously, I got my own money, so I spend my money to pay for software, to pay for a 4K camera, right? To stay up to date, my internet speeds, everything, and promoting the podcast. Because in a lot of ways, for those who don't know, when you promote your podcast, obviously you have social media accounts. You'll post, hey, it's a new episode and all that good stuff. But that doesn't always guarantee that you'll reach the demographic you want to reach for your type of content. So sometimes you got to pay for that. And whether it's paying through Meta with Facebook and Instagram, or even going over to the devil, and we're going to be there for a while, Twitter. We don't call it X over here. I don't care what it says. But you know what I'm saying? Like, these things don't do, this content doesn't create itself. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who have had input over the years, including me making a video version of the podcast. So if you would like to support and become a member right here on YouTube, receive some timed exclusive episodes you could check out and have opportunities to pitch special episodes, right? Like, whatever. What if people are arguing, yo, who you think has the best catalog in hip hop? That can be a member exclusive episode. So stuff like that. But again, follow the link in the description of this episode. Check out all the information, and we appreciate anything and everything people can do for the show. Now, big shout out to hiphopdx.com. I'm just going to say it, Instagram, and other places where I get some of my stories from. And Twitter. Let's get right into the business. Mass Appeal, if you don't know, last year dropped a series of albums the series was called Legend Has It, right? And it was 7 albums from legends, 7 new albums from legends in the rap game, which included Slick Rick, Raekwon, Ghostface, Mobb Deep, De La Soul, Big L, and an album featuring Nas and Premier, right? That's how they ended it in December. And I'll leave the link to the recap me and the homie Ock did. His name's not the homie Ock, by the way. I just say homie all the time, but his name is Ock. Episode that me and Ock did where we kind of recapped that rollout. And generally speaking, we were satisfied with it. It was dope to have. It was just dope to have a rollout of MCs who were still active and for them to have this amount of attention in the in today's hip hop game. Well, right after that was over, and the new year was upon us, Mass Appeal on their Instagram put up a post that said, Mass Appeal, imagine that. Take your ticket. And at the bottom, it says anything is possible, right? On the image, which I should be showing right now. And it said, and our next move, and it put stay tuned, right? 2025, legend has it. 2026, imagine that. Then, not that long ago, they put up a post that had J. Cole and Kendrick as that image that everybody uses of them together, I guess, backstage at a show. And they said, Mass Appeal says, what joint album would make, what joint album would you make happen if you could? Imagine that. Now, keep in mind, well, they also said this, never getting that Child Rebel Soldier album hurt my heart. Now, remember their original post, the imagine that, right at the bottom. Anything is possible. Now, when they posted that, of course, everybody's wanted that album forever, right? They've wanted that specific album forever. J. Cole and Kendrick together on one album. But we never got it. And we know what happened with the battle. We know what J. Cole did prior to that to kind of tick Kendrick off. And we know where Kendrick went with it. And we know where J. Cole eventually didn't go with the battle, right? So it had me intrigued, like, anything is possible. And a lot of people was like, nah, I don't think that's going to happen because blah, 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 blah. Well, one or two things, right? It could have been happening the entire time, right? We don't know when these guys could have mended their situation or just talked, right? We don't know when Mass Appeal and probably Nas, we know what J. Cole feel about Nas. I mean, his latest song is basically a Nas record or like paying homage to a Nas record, but taking it a step further, right? And he also made a song called I Let Nas Down. I think I Let Nas Down or whatever. We know how J. Cole feels about Nas. But also, when Kendrick on GNX, when Kendrick got the Super Bowl nod, he felt like everybody decided to hate and say how much he didn't deserve it, or they said nothing at all. And he said, only Nas congratulated me publicly, right? Remember that? And then he went on GNX to do a song, a rendition of the song from the same Stillmatic album that featured Rewind that J. Cole just did, right? Earlier, what was that? When GNX dropped? 2025. He did a song that clearly was All I Need Is One Mic called I Deserve It All. So here you have J. Cole and Kendrick doing evolutions of Nas records from the same Stillmatic album. And now the first post in 2026 for this Imagine That series where they say anything is possible You have that. I think I just solved it, y'all. We getting that album. It's going to be the last one because it's probably the biggest one, right? As far as projects. But that aside, we knew they were talking about a situation with duos. Like that was the theme. What duos would you want to see together, right? So J. Cole and Kendrick is huge, right? That's one people would, even if you don't like them, you will check it out to see what they do as a group. But then they posted something recently. What's the best one producer album ever? Right? Duos again. MC and one producer. What's your pick? Is it here? To the person who said Thriller, touche, right? Well, yeah, we know, because when it comes to Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones, there is no other duo better. Duo. We know Stevie's out there. But the image they chose to post when they said, what's the best one producer album ever, is a picture of Alchemist and Currency. And if you know anything about the project that Alchemist and Currency put together in the early 2000s, or the 2010s, I think it was. I think it was the 2010s. Hip hop heads loved that album, but we never really got a true sequel to that album. Now, some may say, just like with the Kendrick and J. Cole situation, that, nah, J. Cole's getting ready to drop his album and roll out. He's getting ready to do that in February. Remember, legend has it, ran through the summer and ended in December. That could be the last project, which means J. Cole would have 2 projects in 2026. That's not unheard of, right? But also, this pairing would be much easier to do, right? Alchemist and Currency. But guess what? As you scroll, there's Gangstar there because they're putting up everybody else's stuff, right? There's Mobb Deep there. What is this? Big Bossin. I don't know what this is. I'm sorry, y'all. MF Doom and Madlib, right? Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, like, and then Alchemist and Currency, Covert, Cool. J. Ruder Damager and Premier. I think this is AZ and Buck Wild. That's not true. Somebody put Wu-Tang, whatever. But obviously they're promoting what people say. But this one guy, easily, he knows what's happening because the lead image is the one thing that hip hop heads want a sequel to that can happen easily. Remember, Alchemist was a part of the Mobb Deep situation. And let me just go back real quick. I'm not displaying this, but I'm talking about it because I believe there was also multiple pictures with the J. Cole and Kendrick situation. So they said, what joint album would you make happen if you could? And there was first image was J. Cole and Kendrick. Second image was Lil Wayne and Jules. Remember, that was rumored, Juelz, and that was rumored for a minute. Kanye and Lupe. I think I want that one. That's for sure. Ghostface and MF Doom. If that one happens, Mac Miller and Pharrell, I'm almost positive they have an album in the trunk, but I just don't think that's gonna happen. But that would be crazy. ASAP. Now this is ASAP. And Schoolboy Q. I don't know if I want that. I think there's somebody. No offense to ASAP Rocky, but I think there's someone who you can probably pair that'll be a better pairing. But you never know. That pairing could be ill. So Mass Appeal's theme is duos, right? Whether that's one producer and one rapper, like Nas and Primo did to end off the last series, Legend Has It. or two rappers. But in the case of J. Cole and Kendrick, J. Cole is also a producer. So you see what I'm saying? Produce and rap. It's going to be interesting. I know one thing, and I said this in a group chat earlier this week. You cannot tease these types of connections. J. Cole and Kendrick specifically. People have been wanting that for a very long time. You can't tease it if you don't have it. Currency and Alchemist, I could believe that that's going to happen. Jewels and Lil Wayne, maybe, but I don't see it, and I don't want it, to be honest. That was just, unless they're sitting on an album that they did in the past, but I don't want them doing anything new, right? And it would be new to us because it would be something unreleased. I just don't know if that's going to happen. MF Doom and Ghostface, we want that. We want that now. We know MF Doom is not here, but neither was Big L, Prodigy, and Dave of De La Soul. So I'm excited to see what happens. I like the teasers. I just hope when they announce them, even if it's 7 albums again, that it's interesting and exciting, just like it was before every time we got a new album from artists. So we'll see. Next. So if you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast, you know my feelings on Roc Marciano, right? I don't feel like the man is whack. He's not whack. I'm not the biggest fan of him as an MC, right? Sometimes I hear bars and I'm like, oh, okay, that was crazy. Sometimes I hear bars and I'm like, what, this is nonsense, right? Like, I opened up the pack of noodles, like, to show you that I opened your noodle. Come on, dog. What? What is that? What are you saying? And I get it. Some of you new fans and casual fans, when you understand the line, you think you have ascended to the top of hip hop intellect, and you haven't. I've been listening for so long. I've been writing for so long. I've been hosting hip hop. I've done everything in hip hop, fam. I don't have to be famous to you, but I know bars when I hear them. But that's not why people like Roc Marciano only. It's the aesthetic of him, right? Like, Currency I wouldn't say, I know his nickname is Spitter, but I don't think he's nice like that, right? He never had me like, yo, carry the 102. That's what he said. He never had me like that. But I think his lyrics are cool, and his flow is cool, and his vibe is cool. That's why I know there are a lot of people who like Roc Marciano. Again, I'm not saying he don't have no bars. That's not true. I'm just saying overall, I don't like his delivery. That more than anything, his delivery that much. So I have songs I like here and there, and I pick and choose, but sometimes it's tough for me to nail down an album and say that's my favorite, and for me to get excited for the next thing. But I always check for it. You know why? Because definitely as a producer, I love his choices in production. And he dropped a brand new album called 656. It has 12 tracks. It's only 32 minutes, which is fine. You heard everything I said. Like, my attention span would be low anyway. And if you've been here for reviews before, you know how it goes down for me when it comes to reviews. I gave it 3 listens. My first listen is just to, get my impressions. Just press play and listen to what's there. My second listen is to dig a little bit deeper into, what he's saying and how he's saying it and how the songs sound and the beats and the sequencing, and just basically the details of the album. And my third listen is just to confirm my thoughts. And for those who need quick reviews, it's okay. It's cool. I'm not going crazy over it. I can't say early that it's one of the best of the year already, because I don't feel that way. But when he opened the album with the song Trick Bag, I was like, I think I want more of this. Like, I want more of what I'm hearing here. And I think on this album, you get more of that. And it's in between, different things here and there. But at the end of the day, I like it. The only feature on this album, I believe, is Eric Holden, who he sounds dope rapping next to Roc Marciano. And I feel like I don't know if I wanted a album that, they was like a duo album, and so Eric Holden is on every song, because I feel like he's a very different vibe. Roc Marciano by himself is a particular vibe, right? It's cool, you know what I'm saying? It's rich, it's street. That's kind of like the whole feeling behind it. It's like the mystique is what really makes the music. And I think he creates the proper production to accompany that. So for me, like songs like Trick Bag, I really like. Hate Is Love. Vanity is dope to me. Good For You. There's enough on here. Even you got a song called Easy Bake Oven. Like, I like these records. I'm not gonna complain, but I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I feel like when it comes to Roc Marciano, as far as recent projects, and I know everybody likes the Elephant Man's Bones, and I like some of it, but I just didn't like it as much as everybody else. I just feel like for me as a listener sometimes, who's an MC who knows hip hop since, I was born, basically, I just feel like for me, he's an acquired taste, and that's fine. Because you know who else is an acquired taste? Kid Cudi. But sometimes if he has a song I like, I'm rock with it. It's the same way with Roc Marciano. If he has a song or album I like, I have no problem playing it. I'm not one of those people when I say I don't like something or I'm not calling it the greatest, that means I hate it and I hate that person. No, it's just not for me. I know people who can't stand West Side Gun, and a lot of West Side Gun vibe is similar, and approach to lyrics in some ways is similar to Roc Marciano, but they're very different also. Mainly, West Side Gun's voice is so unique. That's part of the reason why I like him, right? Is he has a unique voice. And then, there's the visual, with the fashion and all that. Roc Marciano's the same thing without that voice, a deeper voice, and a little bit more bars. So if you're thinking about checking this out, I'll say this. If you're a Roc Marciano fan, I'm curious when it comes to his catalog, and not that you should rank this against some of his best, but do you like this? Because I can't say I've been a fan forever. I'm in and out of his music for the most part. But those who like Roc Marci is my guy, I check for him all the time. How does this album sound to you? Because I would think a hardcore Roc Marciano fan is probably going to like this. I would think a person who's looking for, or looking to get away from, the mumble rap, looking to get away from the streets, I'll kill you in this way, who are typically like one note in how they talk about it, and looking for a flow that's unique and interesting to them. And Roc Marciano might be that guy. And 656, I feel like it's a cool album. It's cool, and dare I say, I like it better than what he did with Premier. I felt like some of those songs were cool, but the beats didn't really match what we're used to hearing for Roc Marciano. So leave your review in the comment section below, especially if you're a hardcore fan of Roc Marciano. You don't need me to like it as much as you, but I'm curious about how you feel about it. And lastly, so y'all know, man, I don't really do. I honestly, I really don't do a bunch of like arguing online because why? For one, I don't have the time. I have like three jobs. I'm not lying, right? Probably more than that, because considering I'm married with kids. Also, sometimes people will post things online because it's a hot take or a debate, right? Some people just want to debate you. Some people may not like the person who they're posing the question against as far as like the subject matter, and they just want to find something to find a hill to stand on. And that hill this week is Jadakiss versus Common, and specifically their catalogs. Now, shout out to Tony from the Dome podcast right here on YouTube. We've done 80 episodes of a series called That Time in Hip Hop. Obviously, we chop it up about hip hop. Tony is way more active on Twitter than I am when it comes to debating these things. And he actually did a video about Jadakiss versus Common. But I was thinking about it myself. And when it comes to just the MCing, I think it's very debatable, right? Their subject matter is so different, it's almost difficult to compare them because what's dope about Common might not be dope about Jadakiss. What's dope about Jadakiss may not be as dope when you're talking to Common, right? So what's the difference? Well, Jadakiss's probably most conscious record was, and maybe his biggest hit was the song Why, right? But what's dope about that record is not only what he did, but the fact that he doesn't talk about that type of stuff that often, if at all, right? Per album, you may get 1 or 2 tracks, whereas Common, that's his fabric. That's what he's made of. And that's not all he talks about. But if you were going to call him a conscious rapper, no one would say, no, he's not. He's a gangster rapper. He's not. But he doesn't only rap about being conscious, just like Jadakiss didn't only rap about the streets. And you can flip it on his head and say the same thing about Common, right? What's the most gangster record he's made? What, The Corner? You know, or what's the Stolen Moments? You know, or maybe another record. But is it as street as hearing it come from somebody like Jadakiss? You already know what it's about when I run up in your house, put the gun up in your mouth, get the money out the couch, hearing you out for senseless, perhaps for instance. I'm saying there's different levels. It's difficult to compare those two. But if we're just going to compare them for what they are, and specifically their catalogs, it's no contest. Common's catalog is superior to Jadakiss's catalog. I don't care what type of hip hop you like. You can probably only name 2 Jadakiss albums that you could stand on and say, these are dope. Common did that. I think he put out like 3 in a row. Resurrection, One Day It All Makes Sense, Like Water for Chocolate. Then he has B, and he has Finding Forever. Then he has The Dreamer, The Believer, which everybody thought was dope, but you know, he got so many albums now, you done forgot about it. And then you can fast forward way further, and he got the joint Auditorium Volume 1 with Pete Rock. I'm not even naming all the albums I think are good. But when you go to Jadakiss, and I don't feel as strongly as far as like dislike than everybody else does, but Jadakiss doesn't have as many albums, and he definitely doesn't have as many good to great albums. Honestly, I think his debut is his best, but there's a lot of skips there that y'all don't remember, but they're there. And his second album, which was probably his more commercial album or his biggest album, because I liked the variety that was there, but it just didn't carry over to the other albums, which I believe he had 3 or 4 more or something like that. His mixtapes are dope, but those aren't albums. So I feel like this whole debate is coming from people who either didn't know Jadakiss was dope or forgot he was dope, and they saw the verses and they latched on to what Jadakiss was doing. And then you thought about Common, because you wasn't outside when Common records were crazy, and said, Jadakiss is better than him. I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to preference. Now, I'm a fan of both. Like I said, I may say that about Jadakiss albums, but I have them all because I'm a fan. Same thing about Common. Common, we could flip it the other way, right? Out of the whack albums from each, who has the wackest? Common, hands down, has the wackest. That EMC, that is the wackest album he's made. Electric Circus isn't bad. It's just different from what he's made. But that record, that MC or EMC or whatever it was called, was trash. Jadakiss don't have one of those. But he does have albums with questionable features, questionable hooks, which kind of exist on most of his albums. And in some cases, questionable beats. So it's one of those things where I get it, right? You got your guy, you have enough from that person to feel like you could stand on the hill and say Jada is better, and you're naming things that are not albums because you know when you start talking about albums, you probably haven't heard them all. Jadakiss was dropping albums and I wasn't seeing nobody saying nothing. I was in the gym listening to Top 5 Dead or Alive. I was skipping some, but nobody was talking about it because they didn't like it. He did the verses. Now they act like they've been here the entire time. You haven't. You don't have the context of being there when Jada dropped, when Common dropped each time, and listening to make proper judgment. But I pose this question to you, the listeners, the viewers of this podcast. Who do you prefer? Who's better? Even who's better lyrically? That I don't know. That's just too, it's just too different for me to judge. But who do you think has the better catalog? I say Common. What do you say? Leave your comments in the comment section below. That's going to do it for me. You can follow me on social media at VegasWorldINC. Follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts listening. Visit the YouTube channel, become a subscriber there. Also, become a member. The information about becoming a member is in the description of this episode. And check out all of the content here. And really, hold up. Just really, we got a dope series for y'all starting next week. If you're from the future, you already know what to do. Just, if it's 2027, you're watching this, it's already happened, man. But if you're here with me in 2026, next week, the series kicks off 1996, the 30th anniversary of some of the dopest albums from that year, 12 albums specifically, one bonus show a month. And next week, we're going to do Tupac, All Eyes on Me, and Machiavelli with my guest, Ak. It's going to be dope. Stay tuned for every episode each month. You know, there'll be a playlist on YouTube, but also it'll be available in audio form. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.